You try the best that you can. Welcome back to the New Nurse Guidebook channel. My name is Pierre Lafour. The purpose of this channel, if you're new to it, is to help new graduate nurses live healthier, wealthier, more happy and fulfilling lives. Today, I want to talk about something that I've experienced just the other day, and that's how to stay sane as a night nurse. There's a couple different things I want to touch on in this video. First thing is sleep hygiene. Be very paranoid and cautious and protective of your sleep. What do I mean by this? I mean that make your room as black as possible. I have a whole system of packing my windows in and putting cardboard over the windows so not a single ounce of light shines into my room, and I duct tape it down. The reason is that light will impact your brain's ability to produce melatonin. It'll reduce it because as humans we're designed to be awake according to sunlight. So with that, get your room as dark as possible. I highly recommend a box fan or some sort of white noise to drown out, the inevitable person mowing their lawn on a summer day, or if you have roommates or neighbors, the noise from that. I can't recommend white noise enough. So it's very important to take care of your sleep hygiene. There's different medicines you can take to help you fall asleep sooner. What I do usually is a magnesium supplement. And if I really want to do like a sledgehammer of a sleeping, I'll do magnesium and Benadryl and melatonin, and that'll just conk me out. I get groggy the next morning. I'm sure there's bro science to argue that it's probably not the best thing, but when you're working night shift, it's really a matter of survival. So I'd rather do that than like delay it and then have to do something heavy duty like what my grandpa did, like taking an Ambien. So be very protective of your sleep hygiene. Typically, you'll get off work around 7 and get home around 8 in the morning and go straight to bed and then sleep until, I personally have slept until anywhere from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Try to shoot for 7 hours of sleep if you can. Realistically, sometimes there's going to be times where you get 5 hours of sleep and you just kind of have to rock with it. Social life. Night nursing can be very isolating because you're working nights. So you're asleep when everybody's awake during the day, and especially if you're on weekends. There is a silver lining though, where if you're working like a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you can just stay up on night schedule and party if you want to Saturday and kind of correct your sleep schedule then back on Sunday. Caffeine intake. I'm a big coffee lover. I've recently started dialing it back, but be very conscious of your caffeine intake, especially while you're working. I have a rule of thumb that after midnight, I don't drink any more caffeine. The same with how when I'm awake during the day, after noon, I don't drink any more caffeine because my understanding is caffeine has a half-life of 6 to 7 hours. So that means that 6 to 7 hours from your last cup of coffee, you'll have half that cup of coffee in your system still. And that can just mess with your sleep cycle. Another thing is eating. I've changed my thinking on this, but usually I like to eat all of my food before going into work and not eat at work. And the reason is just because of the way your digestive tract and your ghrelin and leptin signals work in your brain. I've found that it's just best not to eat at work and just have a really large meal before you go into work. And that way you're not throwing off your digestion system and stuff like that. That's worked for me. Do what you think works best for you. Yeah, there are going to be times where you're tired as a night nurse and it's not going to be fun, but there's trade-offs involved with it. One of the things I wanted to touch on is sunlight. Being a night nurse in the wintertime is actually kind of nice because believe it or not, you get more sunlight exposure than being a daytime nurse. Think about it. If you're working a day shift in the wintertime, you're going to wake up at 6 a.m. It's going to be dark outside. You're going to drive into work, go to work, and get off work at 7 p.m. in the evening and drive home. And guess what? By 7 p.m., it's going to be dark outside. One of the beautiful things about night shift is you wake up around 1 or 3 p.m. in the afternoon and you get to get outside and you get to expose yourself to sunlight, which is nice, especially for someone like me. I'm sensitive to not having sunlight. And so being able to get that sunlight exposure right when I wake up is good. And it's good for your sleep cycle, for your eyes and your skin to be exposed to that sunlight and help wake you up naturally and fix your circadian rhythm in a sense, as much as you can when you're working night shift. Another thing that to take into consideration is that there's a couple of ways you can do it. Let's say you're working 6 nights or 3 nights, we'll say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Let's say you're working these 3 night shifts in a row, and then you're off Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And you think, awesome, I'm off for 4 days. I mean, in some ways you are, and in some ways you're not. Because this day, this would be Thursday, is usually a throwaway day because you're spending all day sleeping, or you could potentially, I call this white knuckling, you white knuckle it, where you get off work Wednesday and you just stay up, pound a cup of coffee, or take a brief 3-hour nap and then turn around to correct your sleep cycle right away. This day, and even this day, can be very taxing, I found. And so even though it might look like, oh, cool, I work these 3 nights in a row and then I'm off for 4 days, 1 to 2 of those days usually are going to be spent recovering and switching yourself back to days. So it's not all roses, but I wanted to share this experience with you so you have a healthy expectation of what you're getting into when you do work night shift. If you found this video helpful, leave a like. If there's anything that you'd like for me to make content on, don't hesitate to comment it in the section below. If you know somebody who would benefit from this information, please share it with them. This has been Pierre Lafour with the New Nurse Guidebook. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.